Hi, Jake and I again. How you doing, buddy? Is it okay? All right. We heard today or this morning that Chuck Norris had died. Now, Chuck Norris was the actor known for Walker and the Ranger. And the funny thing about Chuck Norris is that when my mom was getting old and she was losing, the one thing that remained was Chuck Walker. Chuck Norris, but Walker Ranger. So we used to get the DVDs of all of his shows, and at night when she got ready to go to bed, we'd play them for her as she went to sleep. Well, right up to the day she died, she thought that the TV shows were still live, and she enjoyed each and every one of them. Now, for Chuck Norris, I liked him as an actor, the action, and he was always a good guy and so forth. But as he got older and he released and told us about his politics, and not so much. He was a little bit more conservative than I would have liked. And I'm finding that's also true with a number of the other actresses and actors. A lot of them, I wish they would remain quiet. A lot of them, you get the wrong impression about them when they are politically active. Example is Jane Fonda and what happened with Vietnam. Now, I like Jane Fonda as an actress. Golden Pond is still one of my most favorite movies of all time, where she played with her dad, Henry Fonda, in a terrific movie. But I wasn't too happy with her liberalism. Didn't agree with her stand on Vietnam, even though Vietnam was not something I supported. Fact is, a lot of people accuse me of escaping from the draft because in 1967 I headed north to Canada right when the draft and people going into Vietnam was not a very popular thing. But the fact of the matter was I was 4A. And 4A meant that on the way they drafted people, I would never have gotten picked. The population I lived in, the Boston County, the fact that 4A, and then what 4A means is A1 is you're physically capable. A2 is you may have some problem, a stigma like your eyesight, or you might have some kind of physical capability. But when you get to A4, it means basically you're an only child of a veteran that served in World War II. And A4s very, very, very rarely got drafted. So I was not leaving the United States to go to Canada to escape the draft. I was going to Canada to escape a marriage that had collapsed. I shouldn't say escape. But the problem is that my marriage went south and I went north. I went north for a couple of good reasons. First of all, teaching paid a hell of a lot better in Alberta than it did in Colorado at the time. Oh, anyway, Chuck Norris has always been one of those heroes, and unfortunately, my heroes are all now in their 80s and even 90s, and like with Dick Van Dyke, even 100 years of age. So it's just a matter of time that they get their turn, as my dad would say, in the barrel. Of course, same thing with me. By the way, a little update about my eyes. They've been working 100%. I'm about halfway through the medication that the doc gave me, so I'm looking forward to concluding that. Those pills are about that big. They're horse pills. So I'm not going to be too unhappy when I see the last of those guys. Well, for Jake and I, hey, Jake, you going to say goodbye to the people? It's time to hit the road again. I hope you enjoyed this little brief thing about Chuck Norris and us. Bye now.